Namaste and welcome. Thank you again for pressing play. Thank you for all your likes, your comments and your shares. Welcome. Happy Easter. Well, what a week it's been. I just wanted to give you some feedback on last week. Last week I saw that old man, as you recall. Well, in a roundabout way, every calamity, every challenge, every adversity will have its silver lining. I'll explain. I was out in the front garden watering my plants and I noticed a very cheeky piece of steel protruding out of my tyre. This cheeky piece of steel rendered my low-profile alloy tyre flat on the ground. So I decided I'd go and do my Sherlock Holmes, as I'm prone to do. So I was out there having a look at this very strong, probably British steel, cheeky, but at least British, poking out of my tyre. And I noticed some movement down the road. And there he was, again, the old man. But he was just going into his front garden, you see. So by the time I got to his property, it's about 60, 70 yards down the road, he had reached his front gate, or his front door, and his wife had opened the door. So from the gate, I just went, hiya, really not necessary for you to go around and do all these trips. You see, Mr. Jones, very noble man he is, his wife, as far as he was concerned, was more poorly than him. So he was going around and collecting her prescriptions and so forth. So I said I would drop a card round, and if they wanted or required any help, then I would be more than happy to call them. So a couple of days later, Mrs. Jones rang me to go around to the local doctor to pick up some forms for some blood tests that she had to do. Quelled my heart. Now, Mr. Jones doesn't have to go further than his very, very lovely front garden. Had I not been having a look at my wheel situation, I wouldn't have been out there to notice exactly where Mr. Jones was coming from to offer my assistance so that he doesn't have to go out. The man must have either lived through the last war or been born very soon after. There's no need for these folks to be going out into the fray, as they say. So, for every disaster, there is always a silver lining. So thank you, Father, for that. And I want to actually say a very big thank you to Viren Lal. Thank you for changing my wheel over. You are a credit to your mother. So it's Easter Sunday today. Well, Easter means different things to many people. It's meant different things to me through the years. I mean, it started off with Jesus dying on the cross, but most importantly, rising again, which is very interesting to me because, you know, as time went on, we talk about Jesus and who he is and who he's not. And my understanding of who Jesus the Christ has changed over the years. That is for sure. So Easter means different things to many people. Some people who belong to the Abrahamic faiths do not celebrate Easter. So it's all a bit of a mismatch. Is Easter a cultural thing? Is it a religious thing? I don't know. It's different things to different people. This year, Easter's way, way different to any other year. So I thought, instead of going down the traditional road of trying to explain to you my version or someone else's version of what Easter is, I thought, let's look at the word Easter. What does the word mean? What is the value of the word? Let's have a look. Easter starts with an E and ends with an R. Well, if we do the maths for Easter, we get the long way. We get 59, which we add together. We get 14. So 14 is a karmic number. We add the 1 and the 4, we get to 5. We take the short version, we get to 23. 2 plus 3 is 5. The last number will always be the same. It's how you arrive at that number. 14 is a karmic number. Remember that. Now 23, very interesting. 23 is the number of the masculine and the feminine. So 5 is the combination, or when you get to 5 through 23, it's a combination of the masculine and the feminine being in balance in an individual, because 5 is the number of man, 10 is a number of the perfect man. So we can say Jesus was the perfect man. Okay, they like to tell you he was born perfect. This is not correct. This is not correct. I used to believe that. Yes, 100%. 100%. The only difference between now and then is I used to look for Jesus as some being external from me because of, yes, he's the Son of God. We made him into a God. We made this man a God. And perhaps he was the first soul ever born. And he came until he eventually, in one lifetime, got it right. He achieved oneness. He achieved the circle. He was able to kill the Adam, which is the thinking man's mind. Yes, the ego mind, the rational mind that's devoid of the wisdom, which is the creative side. That's the lady side. Okay, so Jesus Christ became the perfect man. A 10. He's a 10. So instead of looking for the 10 outside of myself, okay, I realized that the same spirit that was inside of Jesus, the man, they'll tell you he's born of a virgin. Well, my darlings, that comes directly from the pagans. Okay, so if that's what you want to be going with, fair enough, crack on. Okay, but that is directly from the pagans, all right? That the virgin gives birth to the child, and then that child then becomes the husband. Ooh, you see how complicated we can make it? So I like to keep things simple. At some point, Jesus did not become, well, he failed to be this God that I'm searching for externally, but became the Spirit, the same Spirit. Because let's think about it. He died. He was in the tomb for 3 days, and then he rose. Okay, so the same folks that are telling you that if you're talking to angels and you're talking to things you cannot see, you're either crackers or you're a devil worshipper. Well, folks, we speak to Jesus. He is not incarnated in the flesh, but he is a spirit. He is in the spirit form. So we have to stop all this hypocritical nonsense now. This is a new world we're living in. Enough of the nonsense. We're done. Okay, so whatever your belief of Easter is, I can tell you now, it is a process. It's the same process that we talk about in the Easter story. Let's think about it. He was accused of all sorts of things, really was only accused of one thing, being the Son of God, or the King of the Jews. Depends on which perspective you're going. But let's see why he annoyed people. Okay, he annoyed people because he challenged the religious structures because they were hypocritical. Hypocritical. We have religion, we have religious structures that are the most wealthy organizations on earth. Why does God need money? Can we explain why does God need money? We have to go, certain churches believe you must give a 10th of your wage, a tithe. This is going to keep you in good favor. No, God does not need money. Where is the bank of God? Where is the bank of God? Where is this bank? All these churches need all this money. For what? Well, in this crisis, let us see you behave like our brother Jesus. And feed the 5,000 and the 10,000 and the millions and the billions. Let us see all the money you've collected for God. Let us see you returning it to God's children. This Easter, we rarely get to see Easter. It starts with an E. In the Hebrew alphabet, E is hey. Hey is your window or your viewpoint, and also the breath of life. Your perception, in other words. How are you seeing the world? Are you still seeing the world how you saw it a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago? How do you see the world right now? It's also the breath of life. Hey, if you watch the meditation video, you'll see I talk about the breath of life being that H sound, conscious breathing. So through Easter, we will get an opportunity to go through the same process that our brother Yeshua ben Joseph did. And this is life, you see. But while the world has you focused on everything external from yourself, all these gods that they created for you, then of course you're not focusing on number one, uno importante person, yourself. Because when the ferryman comes a-calling for you, when it's your day, hopefully very far in the future, it's only going to be you. No one else, no other gods. Just you and you. And the forever of forever. Just remember, this lifetime, it's a journey, it's not a destination. Starts with H, your perception, your viewpoint. If it hasn't changed, in the next couple of weeks, it is going to change. Ends with an R, which is Resh, which is the head, or more importantly, the pineal gland, which actually looks like a little bit of an egg. It's here, in your head. Okay, and that is the organ of your spiritual mind. Now, the most fascinating thing is to access the organ of your spiritual mind, the real Easter egg, let's be fair. You have to see through the window of perception. And the way to clear the fog from all the delusion and all the unnecessary things is through the breath. So the answer to everything is simply be still. In other words, quieten the mind, quieten the lips, turn off the peripheral sound and get to the basic. Now, I understand for people that have not done meditation, it is quite difficult to quieten the mind. That's why we do these guided meditations to help you, but a little bit of speaking, not a lot, not a lot. It is now we all have to take responsibility for ourselves. That is simply put. Simply put, billions and billions of caterpillars consuming. Why? Because you think that's what life's all about. No, darlings. What a gift we're given right now to be able to cloister in our heavens. I appreciate for some of you, it might not feel like heaven. That's okay. You're going to work it out. I have absolute faith in you. So Resh is the pineal gland or the head or the organ of the spiritual mind. And in order to access it, you just have to breathe. Meditation. Meditation takes different forms for different people. It's written in the scriptures, be transformed by the renewing of the mind. The renewing of the mind is a process. It's to do with energy. This happens naturally. If you be still and go with the process, just giving yourself the love of a few minutes a day of just stillness. Some people call it prayer. I love praying. Praying is the most amazing thing. But it's a two-way conversation. Well, it is for me. Father, what is the truth of this situation? Now, the thing is, the answer is not usually given in that second. Sometimes it is, but not always. Okay? Then you go about your life and boom, you'll be doing something nondescript, just doing something, usually involving water, washing the dishes, having a shower, usually there's water involved. And boom, it comes. Okay. But right now, we have been given a break from what we call the rat race, the mad dash of life. Not everyone, some people are definitely on green, they go. But for the majority, on red. To go through our Easter process, to transform our mind, be transformed. That time when you're in the cocoon, if you want to take the analogy of a butterfly. So you access the spiritual mind through the breath and by being still, to transform. So that once and for all, globally, I'm not saying just through this Easter, but every year, like I said in the first video, we go and we take away a third of the darkness. Well, after 3 times, we should have conquered it, surely. On the first day, God separated the light from the dark, the lie from the truth. And that's what's happening in the world. Other people will have the analogy separating the wheat from the chaff, or the weeds from the wheat. Those are faithful. That doesn't mean you warmed a pew and gave lots of money to the church. That you cannot buy your way into heaven. That's not going to help you. Okay, let's hope all of these very rich religious organizations do as they profess and have their followers do. Compassion. I saw some churches wanting to open websites and things that you can contribute to helping others. But they're the wealthiest institution in the world. So through this Easter, take the time to be one with God. That Easter egg. Okay, the astrology for the week. Sunday the 12th, which is today, Mercury sextile Saturn. Saturn, keeper of time, karma, and the Christ consciousness. Consciousness is a way of being. It's a perception, but it includes the connection of your body's perception, your body's picking up energy, your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, everything is working as one. You are no longer an ego mind and a spiritual mind as two separate. You are one being. Some people refer to it as you are one with your higher self. Okay. So Mercury sextile Saturn. Mercury is about communication, an opportunity to cultivate mental discipline and clear, organized thinking that enables us to develop the concentration and focus required to take an idea and turn it into reality. See, all ideas are given by God. But if you don't take the action, you're not going to have it into manifestation. We spoke about this before. You have an idea, it's a thought. Where do thoughts come from? Depends on the thought. You have a thought. Say it's an idea. Say it's a business idea. Okay, it's a thought. What do you do with that thought? Well, perhaps you write it down. It now exists in this dimension. Or perhaps you speak it, so now it exists. But the problem with speaking it, now it's floating. So if you don't take action, someone else might filter their energy and they take action. Okay. So you get this idea, but now you have all these inbuilt problems because, when you were young, your parents didn't really acknowledge you. I'm not speaking from personal experience. People's core wounds are all relatively the same. So, maybe they never acknowledged you. Maybe you had other siblings that were better at you with certain things and la-di-la-di-la-di-la-di. So now you've got all these preconceived ideas that you're no good. How can you even start? Where do you start? You have no idea. And so your brilliant idea that God gave you to get you out of whatever situation you're praying to get out of, boom, compost. So this is a time you'll be getting ideas, especially those that are sitting at home and are going, you know what, do I really want to go back to the way it was? You see, because we're at the end of the lockdown, we will all get an opportunity to decide whether we're going back to what was normal or are we embracing the new world. Okay, are we of the ilk of It's a Brave New World, which is a book? Go and read it. It's scary. Or is it a new world? You see, it's about us, so we all have to decide together. Okay? But just remember, if there's one faithful human left on this planet, God will use that person to save the world. So you only need one faithful, and I know plenty, so we're good. We're good to go. It's time to take those ideas and to turn them into reality, okay? And all you have to do is take one small step every day, because after a week, you're 7 steps closer. The frustrating part is you'll want to go, but of course the restrictions around us are hindering us. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. For many of us, we bite too much and then we get choked up on our own stuff, or we try to run before we can walk. Well, we're all being given a chance to create a life on earth outside of the system. So when the system does think it's going to kick back in, boom, shakalak. Not everybody. Tuesday the 14th. Sun square Pluto. Squares, difficult. A challenge to transform our sense of self-identity, who we think we are. You see, we think we are something. You think you're something. If I say to you, who are you? What is your first response? If someone says to me, who are you? I will say, I am that I am. It always brings a smile to my face. I am that I am. I just am. As you see me, as I am. Does that mean that I have an interesting personality? Yes, I really do. But essentially, I am that I am. I'm not trying to be this or be that. I am that I am. Okay. But I've been pondering this since I was 11. So if I said to you, who are you? Who are you? So it's an opportunity to transform who you think you are through bringing the light of awareness into our shadow, which is all your fears, all your ego stuff. I can't, this has happened, blah, blah, blah. All you're angry, this person did this to me, all of that stuff that makes up the parts of you that don't help you, quite frankly, tear you down. And it's an opportunity to let go of destructive behaviors and thought patterns based on power, control, sexuality, victimhood, and projecting our issues onto others in order that we can reconnect with our true spiritual essence. Okay, so this is telling me, see, because all of you guys watching this are probably well on your path and you're doing amazingly splendidly. In fact, I know you are. But other people out there, they're on the lower end. They have no idea. They're just in life, being buffeted about. So this is the problem we're going to have this week, is these folks out there who are cloistered with people who have got massive control issues. We're going to see potentially a problem with exaggerated or a large amount of abuse going on there related to sexuality and power and control. So these are folks who are in codependent relationships, unhealthy, toxic relationships. Not going to be a grand week for them. So for us that are not in that situation, we need to hold them in our heart, because you've either been there yourself at some point, or you've seen someone, or perhaps your parents were in that situation, and you know what it's like. And just because you're cloistered in your safe environment, which is beautiful, because you've earned that right, darling. You've earned it. We can still hold the space for all of those who are going to be on the receiving end of other people's projections this coming week. And you may be as well, you know, okay? And you may find yourself wanting to project these issues onto others. So check yourself before you wreck yourself kind of week, okay? Easter period's very karmic. For other people, Easter period is what we call Passover. If you know the history of Passover, that's to do with the angel of death passing over. Also to do with Jesus, but way back in the beginning. Okay? Not essentially only, but yep. Wednesday the 15th, Mercury conjunct Chiron, an opportunity to develop a greater mental understanding of how the wound to the sense of self-identity and the way it impacts our ability to take action, and how our choice of words can empower or destroy us. Words are spells. That's what we call them, spelling. So when you're speaking words of positivity, you are sending that out, you will get that back. If you are speaking words of destruction, you are sending that out, you will get that back. Your words, also your internal chatter. How are you speaking to yourself? Because, do you know, when you keep finding fault in someone, you need to stop and ask yourself, what is it in yourself? Because usually I've found that when someone doesn't like someone else, it's because there's that same thing inside of them that they don't want to acknowledge. So it's going to be a week for all of that, really getting to know yourself through the people around you, if you're cloistering with people, if you're quarantined or on lockdown with other people. But then again, if you're not, you're probably communicating with folks. So it could get a bit eggy, salty, tetchy out there this week. The trick is not to engage, to do the Easter thing, to be still, to meditate, to breathe, to get answer. It's a full year, but it's also 40. The zero is God. or the spirit, building with God. How do you know what it is you're supposed to be building that's right for who you are if, one, you don't know who you are? So everything's just being stripped back so that you can figure out who you are and start to receive some ideas of how to start to build a life outside of the system, which is crashing. Also on Wednesday, Sun squared Jupiter. Jupiter's my favorite. A challenge to expand our understanding of our sense of who we are beyond the ego identity, whilst cultivating gratitude and humility to keep the ego in check so it doesn't inflate in response to the insights we gain. So in other words, a lot of us are going to be having our light bulb moments, our epiphany moments of perhaps why you've endured things you've endured, and you suddenly, oh my gosh, that was horrible at the time, but if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here right now, and right here is amazing. So when you get to that place of enlightenment, or when you're firmly on that journey, you get these light bulb moments, there is a tendency to perhaps go back into that ego state. So we want to pull that back, okay? So it's a week of humility when you get your epiphany. If you're on that scale where you're not getting your epiphany, you're getting your boom shakalak, your wake-up call, your naughty step, ouch, that's okay. We've all been there. It's all to help you. Saturday the 18th, Mercury sextile Venus, an opportunity to develop a greater awareness of how our choice of words impact our relationships for good or for bad or for ill, and learn to control our words so that they are guided by honesty, kindness, and empathy, rather than allowing our opinions to cloud our perceptions and words. You are the only one that thinks like you do. But for some reason, we all assume everyone thinks like us. No, I am the only person that thinks like I think. You are the only person that thinks like you think. Your perception is yours entirely. You may have arrived at that perception by allowing other people to create that for you. Yes, yes, yes. But it is still yours. You have to take responsibility for it. So this year we have an amazing opportunity. The gift under the Christmas tree that wasn't wrapped in a pretty wrapper or nice ribbon. A chance to get out of that karmic rat race, figure out who you are, and start to build a life of how you can support yourself going forward based on who you really are, not who you think you are. That's the astrology for the week. Okay, so let's have a couple of cards. Oh, before we go, I just wanted to recap a couple of the Aries qualities, because soon, next week, we'll talk about Taurus. We're going into Taurus season. So, the positive aspects of Aries: assertiveness as opposed to aggression, clear-headedness as opposed to hot-headedness, objectivity as opposed to lack of awareness, decisiveness as opposed to recklessness, courage, willpower, initiative as opposed to fear of taking the first steps, or impulsiveness, hastiness, naivety, selfishness. How much selfishness did we see? Toilet paper. Impatience, vanity, or boldness, strength, self-reliance. You see, if we got the Aries stuff right, it gives us the foundation to make this the most amazing year of your life. Leadership, enthusiasm, a pioneering spirit, and authenticity, or impatience and vanity. Where were you? How well did you do during Aries season? One of the sentences we said is, are you willing to motivate yourself to achieve your goal, or do you rely on others to spur you on? Well, if you're at home, say you've always been at the gym and you've gone to the gym every day, but part of it is because there's people there and you see them working hard and it spurs you on to go there every day and to do your best so that you're doing well by the general means. But now you can't go to the gym. How determined now are you? What are you doing with your gym? Are you gymming at all? We get to strip everything back. It's a most wonderful gift. It's a most wonderful gift. And for all of those that are struggling with the disease, it gives us an opportunity to sit in our homes and pray for them properly. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are exact repeats of last week. Partnership, seeking the sacred. So seeking the sacred, that's the balancing of the masculine and the feminine, which I spoke about earlier, 23, to how you get to 5. So within each of us, we have to balance that masculine and that feminine. But we see, as women, we're searching for that masculine energy out from men, because obviously we got it from our dads, or we didn't get it from our dads, whichever the case may be. Right, that's an awful lot. We'll go with these. Okay, so the 3 repeats from last week were seeking the sacred, illusion and romance, okay, as well as grounding, physical health and foundations, and as well as partnerships. Okay, so big time. If you're cloistered with someone and your relationship is codependent and rocky, of course the foundations of your relationships will be undervalued. So say you're not cloistered with your partner or your significant other and you're looking, well, you have to ask yourself, what is the foundation going to be built on if you don't know who you are? So the beginning of everything is knowing yourself. You are your primary relationship. Your most important relationship is with yourself. Because if you don't know who you are and you're trying to figure it out, then the chances are you're going to have a bit of a rocky road. Okay, let's get these in order. This is chaos. A bit like outside there. Right, justice, joy. All right, let's do those. Were from last week, so that's a little sub. Okay, so this is how we started. We started with the bard. Okay, so the bard is the storyteller. He's about magic. He's about, music, poetry, history, and the enchantment of storytelling. Okay, so this is saying, go back into your history. This is to do with your childhood wound, to be fair. So go back in there. What is it? What is it at the core of your being that holds you back from being the best version of you? That makes you be angry still. That makes you be selfish. Or perhaps you're on the other skin, you overcompensate. It's too much. Okay, you don't know how to receive love, so you keep giving it. The minute someone wants to give it back to you, you run. These are all core wounds. This is saying, let's go back into our history this week and see where this problem arose. Then we move on to the Merlin, which is alchemy, which is transformation. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's an alchemical process. Honestly, it's an actual process. And it doesn't happen all at once. It happens over a long period of time. But I suspect this year, a lot of people are it's going to happen to them very quickly, like a flash of light, boom, later on in the year. So this is about balancing things up, getting things balanced, getting things justice, and also vision, sight, your perception, seeing through spiritual eyes. We have the Raven, which is about synchronicity, magic or miracles, and coincidence. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Basically what's happening is our Father and all the hosts of heaven, angels, Jesus, yes, in the spirit world, is working for us. I know you might feel very far away from God right now, but you cannot be far away from God, because God is within you. When I was young, it was explained to me that God is in my heart, which is fine. He's in your heart. He's in you. Okay? So we can expect synchronicity. So this is for you guys that are fair with the numbers. This is seeing repeated numbers, master numbers 11, 11, 22, 20, all of those numbers synchronistically, as well as other synchronicities. If you feel like you need a sign, and you ask for a sign, you'll be getting the sign. What? Signs about what? Well, basically what's coming back together is all the partnerships. I'm not just talking romantic. I'm talking about how are things going to work in the new world. This is what's being formed in the shadows, under the covers. This is what's being formed. The foundation of more balanced partnerships. Like when you invest money, you should get a just return. Okay, if you purchase something, it should work. If it doesn't work, these things happen, they should give you your money back. All of these kinds of things, okay? All the generations and generations and generations, we've all been paying for things that have been paid for. All of those kind of things. So this is in the collective. In your personal life, This will be things like, do I want to do this job anymore? Don't I want to do... Everything's under evaluation and re-evaluation and under the spotlight to bring it into balance, okay? To bring everything back into balance so that those codependent relationships, either that's it, we're out of here, we're done, we both learned, we don't have to, we don't, or we work together. Some people have to go apart to do the healing, other people do it together. It's just your path, what you've chosen. But everyone will take responsibility for themselves. All right. Then we have the frog, which is about cleaning house, emotional baggage. A lot of emotional baggage is going to be flying all over the shop this week. Okay, take cover. If it's not yours, don't swallow it. Okay? Be the listening ear, but don't carry other people's burdens. Right now. Each person has to take responsibility for themselves. Amazing week to get to the core of our wounds and have a good old clear out and a good old healing. This also means you're probably decluttering your house as well. Or your environment. You're probably moving things around. Which is great. Okay, then we're going on to the two from last week, which was foundations, because that's what we're working on. So for you, we're working on the foundations of the new world, the new earth. How do you create a life for yourself, being in the world, but not part of the world, to quote scripture. Okay, you need God's assistance. It's a week for meditating, a week for the alchemy, the process to be effective for you. It's the week. He died, was hung on the cross. Did we cover that? Oh, yes. We started, I went on a rant. Why did he irritate people? Well, he challenged the religious factors and called out the hypocrisies. He challenged the banking and insurance sectors, as known as the money changers and the money lenders and the tax collectors. He challenged the leaders. Okay? God, it's in the scriptures. You need to honor and respect your leaders, and we absolutely do. And thankfully, thank our Father. Thank you for your healing on our most excellent Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. He is most excellent. Most excellent. Thank you for his healing. You have to honor your leaders. But if your leaders are liars and thieves, then you have to pray for the truth. Because then they will be revealed as liars and thieves. Okay? It is not appropriate to go and start craziness. Everything, the ways of God are orderly. All right? So if you believe your leaders are liars and thieves, then you pray for the truth. And then that is what will bring that dirtiness, that filth to the surface. The truth is what will set us free. Okay? Every war that was ever fought is a human sacrifice. We don't need to do that anymore. We just need to pray for the truth. So, fortunately for us, our leader is lovely and honest, kind, gentle, and powerful, strong man. He survived the woohoo. Wow. Doing great he is. Okay? We here, up in our land, we're going for joy. Okay? We're going for joy. That's where we're going to end up. It might not seem like that right now, but that's only because we're chucking out the old in order to make space for this joy that's coming. Joy unspeakable and full of glory. It's a chorus I used to sing as a child. Father, continue to bless us. Teach us the truth no matter the cost. Show us the truth no matter the cost. Peace be with you. Have a brilliant week. Namaste.